Hey everybody, welcome to a special bonus episode of the Elseworlds Exchange before we get started on the pull, which will be happening over on the Weekly Pull channel in the next hour and a half, maybe?
Yeah, give or take.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to say hey, because what happened was yesterday, if you tuned in to watch the Weekly Pull, or the Elseworlds Exchange, then you missed us screwing up and the technical difficulties all conspiring to prevent this show from being awesome.
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of a show, and that went up on iTunes, and the new home for the for the Elseworlds Exchange, which is ComicPOP.podbean.com.
Oh, that's official now.
Yeah, it is. By the way, getting Art through the Lobster in Super Chat, how about that Rocko's Modern Life trailer for that revival?
How about it? I didn't see it yet.
I did see it. I don't like Rocko's Modern Life, so like when I saw it, I was like, I don't care. Like
I remember liking Rocko's Modern Life, but then again, it's been forever since I seen it.
Yeah, I think it still holds up. Ethan is a big Rocko's Modern Life fan.
Right.
So, you know.
Heck, I remember being a huge Hey Arnold fan, and I haven't watched that in forever, and that one's finally getting to finish its run. This really became the year of cartoons getting to finish their runs, be it Samurai Jack, Hey Arnold.
Yeah. It's well, and man, did Samurai Jack end well.
It did. That was a strong ending.
What a good show. But yeah, so anyway, we're here as like kind of an apology tour, being like, hey guys, sorry that the show didn't work out last week, but I feel bad that we only gave you like half a show. So in the interest of time and content...
Reparations.
We thought we'd just hang out with you guys for about 25 to 30 minutes and just give you the rest of the show, that being a kind of like Q&A chatting show and like kind of stream of consciousness. I really liked the Inspiration show, and that was kind of like just us talking about whatever. So,
smart concept. Not to pat myself on the back, but you know.
Yeah. By the way, Mr. Giggles in Super Chat, what do you guys think about the Death Wish remake?
Shit, let's talk about this. I'm glad Giggles talked about this. Thank you, man.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, man, because I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't care about Death Wish, but I did hear that Rob thought it looked like Punisher.
Yes, it does.
So, let's hear it.
Well, it's funny, you know, for one, I had no freaking clue that Eli Roth and Bruce Willis were even trying to do a remake of Death Wish. Not like another sequel, because that was a series that had like a million sequels of declining quality, like a straight up modern day reboot. And it's funny because, you know, you look at it and it's like, wow, you're really, there's no new gimmick, there's no new twist on it. You're really just doing this straight up like the old one. And it's funny because, like, I would say Death Wish is to the revenge movie genre what Halloween is to the slasher movie genre.
Yeah.
You could argue they existed before, but they were like the year zero. They were the template that every other movie in the genre uses. And again, I'm like, well, without a gimmick and without whatever, what is stopping this from being just like a million other revenge movies? And I'm glad you mentioned The Punisher, Sal, because I'm sure you would agree before they actually made Punisher like good for Netflix, every couple years they would come out with like a revenge movie, like a B-action movie that we as comic fans would think, man, that would have made a great Punisher movie if only that was the Punisher. The Brave one, like that one was like, man, what if the Punisher was a woman? That Kevin Bacon one, Death Sentence, man, what if the Punisher was an office schlub?
Right. We've been so starved for a good Punisher property that. And it's such a no-brainer to make a good Punisher show, like movie show, which is why I'm glad that John Berthal's show, number one, got off the ground, and number two, was his interpretation was so good. But yeah, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, a guy taking revenge and the law into his own hands to exact that revenge is not is not a new concept.
No.
And is not without its like imitators or its like really, really standout examples. I will say that, like, Death Wish has a little bit of, like, icon status to it, you know? But Eli Roth is such a hackney director.
Yeah, he is.
And Bruce Willis has run out of fucks. I think he
ran
out of fucks
really has.
Maybe a good 15 years ago.
And he's still trucking.
Yeah. Well, he's still paying for crazy expensive houses. Like, I really do believe that Bruce Willis, if he could get away with it, would just not act anymore, because it seems like it's just such an inconvenience for him. But yeah, I'm amazed that he's doing a Death Wish movie. I can't imagine that it's going to be any good. Because number one, Eli Roth. Number two, Bruce Willis being like, fuck it. Like, Bruce Willis being like, oh, I will do this. It's a script in which I have to wear regular clothes. And I have to run a little bit.
I've got a hoodie.
Yeah, I'm totally into that.
I will imagine that this, like, looking at it, what I instantly got flashbacks of was that remake of The Mechanic, which, fuck, that got a sequel, so what the hell do I know?
Yeah, no, it's true.
So I don't know, maybe this will be a huge hit. I know the trailer at least feels like they're trying to tap into something with it being like, hey, killing inner city gang members is cool again. Gun culture is cool again. Death Wish is cool again. Yeah. Don't you want to see an old white guy exact revenge on everyone who's wronged him? And I'm like, that feels slightly uncomfortable. Yeah. Well, but I bet this movie will find its audience.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, like, well, here's the thing. I want those movies to be made by hungry directors and hungry creators who are just like, I got some really, really awesome way to show you this thing you've seen 1,000 times. I just don't know if Eli Roth is talented enough to do that.
What was that last one? It was also a remake of an old property. Was it Denzel Washington?
Yes,
no, it wasn't him.
Man on Fire, or is that...
Well, Man on Fire is an amazing revenge movie and a good modernization of it. Oh, God, what the fuck? It was a one-word title. It came out.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what it's called. By the way, really quick, while you're thinking of that, Mopey in the super chat says, "Smiley face. They can keep me off the Discord, but not here." RoboCop. It was not RoboCop. Everybody, RoboCop was remade poorly, but it wasn't that.
Yeah, it was. I think Chloe Grace Moretz played a prostitute in it or something.
Equalizer. Thank you.
Equalizer. Thank you.
That Tiffany was really excited for the Equalizer, but then she was like, "Oh, they're remaking it. Oh no."
It's funny. The Equalizer. What I remember most of all is what is it in Wolf of Wall Street? Leonardo DiCaprio's dad screaming about the original Equalizer on TV, missing it.
Nice.
And then it's like, oh, shit, and they remade that into, like, a movie. See, that one I thought was cool because, again, that was a very straightforward kind of revenge movie based on a very old property in its time. But they found some extra twists on it to be like, hey, what if this dude, what if maybe, his killing thing was, like, his weird way to help people and, like, his murdering was also his way of dealing with, like, a midlife crisis or something?
Right. I don't know if I want to watch that, but I do like the idea of at least giving it some kind of nuance and originality.
They made it interesting, and also it had a really killer final act because the dude worked in a hardware store by day, and like he turns it into R-rated Home Alone by like booby trapping the hardware store for all the Russian gangsters who have come to try and kill him.
That's what I heard. All right.
It's pretty fun. Also, hey, while we're on the subject of revenge movies, John Wick were all basically revenge movies at heart, and I think they did a good job updating that.
Yeah, I did not see the second one yet, but I'm looking forward to catching it at some point.
I watched half of the second one on like a flight, but it was a very short flight. I'm like, oh, I didn't get to finish this.
That sucks.
Yeah, a little bit.
By the way, Spencer Eschman in the Super Chat says, parallels between Marvel Legacy and DC Rebirth? I think that if Rebirth didn't exist, you wouldn't have a Legacy.
It's also hard to tell because Legacy technically hasn't started yet. We got our first Generations this week.
Yes, we did. I didn't read it because I don't care about the Hulk, either of them. But,
Well, watch your mouth, sir. Bruce Banner has always been my favorite Avenger.
Yes. Your favorite Avenger? He was an Avenger for maybe 3 issues. And
that's why I like him, because he was there for 3. The Hulk is too raw for the Avengers, man. He's got to leave.
Digging into the Super Chat, also Super Manning says, have you read Kevin Smith's book, Tough Shit? Yeah, I've read every book that Kevin Smith published. Not necessarily because I'm like, oh, but also because, like, out of habit. Also because sometimes people send them to me. They're like, here, read Kevin Smith's book. I'm like, okay.
That's nice.
They're good. I mean, he's an engaging writer. And like we said in our show for inspiration, like, he's an inspirational dude. And
totally.
You can't help but, like, draw some kind of inspiration from his writing. Tevye Smolga asked, what are you guys' opinion about the new Spider-Man series? Has it come out yet?
I think the first episode might be online. I know I watched some of the clips, and I'm like, well, at least they're not doing the cutaway gags of Ultimate Spider-Man, but man, does this show look cheap.
It looks cheap. But I kind of like the designs. I kind of like the designs of everybody.
They're pretty solid.
Yeah, I like the designs of the characters. I like how Spider-Man looks. I like the voice, I guess. He's
Same
okay.
too. I hated Drake
He
Bell.
was awful. Just awful. And it's funny because, like, what's so objectionable about him? Like, I don't really know. I think it's that, like, you could tell he was reading. There was no legitimate acting involved.
Oh, yeah.
Even with the heavy scenes, he couldn't do anything interesting with it. It was just kind of, like, weak.
It also probably doesn't help that like Drake Bell's a shit in real life.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's a bit of a shit in real life. If you plunge his Twitter feed, he said some pretty horrible things.
God damn it.
Only to get in trouble with, and it's like, God, you compare him to like Chris Evans, who like you swear that he's actually aspiring to be a real life Captain America with just like what a good dude he is.
Right.
The funny thing is I used to like Drake Bell because I was a big fan of that Amanda Bynes show back when that was a thing. That's the show he got his start on. Were it not for Amanda Bynes, there would be no Drake Bell. Wrap your mind around that.
Yeah, we can thank her for that.
I also liked the fat guy on that show, Josh Peck, who made a really good indie movie and then nothing else.
Oh.
Poor dude.
Yeah. I like, but yeah, getting back to the show itself, I like it. I think it's cool. Like, I think it has promise. We'll see.
I'll probably watch some more of it later. Again, I like the idea that they seem to, once again, as I have been begging and begging for, they look to sort of be trying to appeal to an all-ages audience and not like the whole, like, hey, park your 6-year-old in front of this.
Yeah. I wanted it to... I remember when they got Paul Dini involved in the Ultimate Spider-Man show, I'm like, oh, well, then there we go. And it was just so terrible.
Well, it was Paul Dini and Man of Action, who's like 12 people, and then like a bunch of others. Paul Miotti got to write an episode of that.
Okay.
Although he didn't like it, though. He's like, well, I put in a script and then, went through like 12 other writers and it wasn't really my show at the end of it. But I like to see my name in the credits.
Yeah, I know that, what's his name? Scott Mosier wrote an episode of that show as well.
I think Slott wrote an episode, too, actually.
Yes, he did. So, yeah, it's weak. That show was, like, Ultimate Spider-Man was unwatchable.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that, like, it was full of fan service and just, a lot of visual, like, a lot of references. Like, Batroc the Leaper was, like, in that show a lot. And, like,
should have made us love it.
It was cool that White Tiger got some, like, love. But, like,
at
the
the
same
nice.
time, it was just, like, I don't know, it was frustrating.
It was weird, too, in some of its characterizations where it's like, hey, here's Nova, we'll make him kind of a bro. And here's, like, the new Power Man who's not getting much play in the comics, so he's good that he's getting play here.
Yeah, I thought that was Luke Cage.
No, that was, like, the Power Man 2 who no one remembers.
Oh.
I think he's, like, powered by history or something. I could be wrong. I always forgot what his powers were.
Yeah. God. So yeah, I'm reserving judgment, but like the clips I've seen are not solid. Like the designs are better than my expectations.
That Ultimate Spider-Man show, to its credit though, actually had some fairly decent updated redesigns. Check their version of Kraven the Hunter. It's actually a really good look for him.
Oh yeah, no, I like that. I watched a surprising amount of that show.
Even their Scorpion wasn't bad, too, where he was like some kind of weird ninja man with like a chain whip tail. I'm like, all right, that's okay.
All right, that's fine.
that's okay. That's an interesting idea. That's thinking outside the old box.
Yeah. Kyle Moore said, Sal, are you ever going to do TMNT on back issues? Maybe. We did Batman TMNT, and it was not nearly as well received as I expected.
Oh.
So that might bode negatively for the Turtles, but I like them a lot. So who knows? I would love to address it because the IDW Team Ninja Turtles show is unbelievable.
That's what I keep hearing.
So, and Devin Bach says, "What Marvel Legacy books are you excited for?"
Basically everything I was already reading because they're more or less the same books and maybe like one or two actual new ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
basically, anything I review on my channel and I like, I will be interested to keep reading it.
Agreed. Yes.
And anything I wasn't reading before, I will probably not pick up.
No. Yeah, there's nothing exciting. There's a couple of exciting announcements, but nothing that stands out to me.
I think Thorgy pointed this out on his own channel, and I thought this was interesting that I missed it the first time. The big thing that they seem to be showing in all these covers and everything we've heard and seen so far, where it's like, hey, watch heroes fight their most famous villains. Hey, heroes fighting villains. Ain't that cool?
Yeah, that's something that I'd like to see more of. Who knows? My problem with it is just like, I know that it is not a solution, and I know that everyone who was involved with all the bad decisions is still there. So it's not like, you know, indicative of a bigger change. It's more like, you know, trying to make up for for chronic bad behavior by doing something nice.
It does feel like a holding pattern, and shit, even Bleeding Cool, which again, take with a massive grain of salt.
Yes.
They're theorizing that this is just a stopgap measure till they do the next big thing.
I mean, if the next big thing is a big editorial like firing, then then that sounds great.
They do. Well, again, again, friggin' Rich Johnson, this was his big theory, which again makes me think, again, grain of salt, where he's like, no, this was my theory for what Legacy was going to be. It didn't turn out to be that thing, so I'm going to theorize that it's the next thing.
Yeah. No.
He said that this is going to be the big writer's shakeup with like a Nick Spencer on Spider-Man and Jason Aaron and Ribic on the Avengers.
You can, I mean, like, here's the thing. While that would be nice and welcome, and it would definitely get some traction because people want to see that, that's like saying, like, eventually we're going to get a massive snowstorm, so get those sleds and your ice skates ready to go. Like, yeah, it's August right now. It will eventually be time for it to snow, and maybe it won't snow this year that bad, but it might. And if it doesn't, next year it will. It's just...
It's like being one of those doomsday preachers who keeps predicting the end of the world and being like, no, I meant next year. No, next year. Sorry, my math was wrong. I didn't carry the one. The world will end in 1989.
Exactly. So, I mean, because here's the thing. They did it. They did the writers, like, mix up. And, man, what a mistake. But yeah.
But how many more books will Ed Brisson have by the end of it, though? It seemed like he went from having one to having, like, 5, and it's all like, well, these writers left for other companies, so hey, Ed, you want to write it?
Yeah, the real question is, how many books will Charles Soule be writing?
I like Charles Soule.
I like him too, but, like, how many books does he write a month?
What's he got so far? Daredevil, the Astonishing X-Men.
Mm-hmm. He had Humans for a while.
Is he still writing in Humans?
I don't think anymore, but like I'm just saying, over the last 6 months, it's been like, what the fuck, man?
Oh yeah, for a while there, he was writing everything. Even when he was at DC for a short amount of time, he had Red Lanterns and he had Swamp Thing. He had like a whole bunch of stuff going on at once.
That's true.
The dude just likes writing comics.
I mean, good for him. That's nice. Somebody asked Fat Snorlax wanted to know what our favorite Marvel Netflix show is.
Ooh, I've said before Jessica Jones, but Daredevil's really good.
Yeah, Daredevil's mine because we actually it's cool. Like, Jessica Jones, a cool show, but when you have it in the context of Daredevil, it's like, man, Daredevil's so good because it delivers. That's the thing, is that they all deliver, but Daredevil is the first one to do it, and it delivered. Jessica Jones doesn't wear a costume, so it's like it's hard to really nail down. Not that it's hard to nail down, but it's like it's not hard to get that right. But with Daredevil, it was like you'd spend a whole season with him in a costume that was established in good comics.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I see what you're doing. But then they nailed it with the new costume, and they continue to refine it, but in a good way, where it's not one of those phony non-costumes. He looks like a superhero.
He does,
and it's cool. But overall, just the writing and the story, I was engaged from beginning to end throughout both seasons.
Yeah.
Jack Ingerman in the Super Chat says, as this year is the 50th anniversary of decriminalization of homosexuality in England and Wales, how about an episode on LGBT characters? It's a great suggestion. Yeah. Thank you, Jack.
That's a really good idea, actually. Yeah, because there's so many to talk about.
Exactly. Eddie Dizon says, would you like to see the writers just randomly pull heroes and villains from separate hats and write stories based on whomever they pull out, like Ghost Rider versus Doc Ock or Ant-Man versus Carnage? I feel like those breed great conversations, but I don't know if they breed great stories. So
that should be an event. They should make a big deal about that, where it's like, look, all the Marvel writers, we got together, pulled names out of the hats, and these are going to be special one-shots now.
Yeah, that sounds... I mean, they might as well try it, but I feel like they should really... okay, sometimes you get really, really great stuff from that kind of inspiration, where you're like, I have to challenge myself to write something cool based on these criteria. But I'd rather see them be like, I have just this great pitch for slapstick, or I have this really, really terrific Ant-Man series that I want to do, and I'd rather see them go from there, because then that is more longevity. You know, if they can, unless they're all one-shots, in which case, yeah, I'd love to see that.
Joel in the chat says episode on international heroes. That's another good one.
Another great idea. What was it? Dark Tales says, what's with Avengers BC? Yes, Joel, what is with that?
I don't know what's up with it, but I think it's really fucking cool.
I think it's fun. I don't care. But you know, it's funny, when I announced it, I was like, don't care. And then I saw who was in the Avengers BC, and I was like, okay.
And also, hey, this is going to be their generation, so apparently we got to read it, because Jason Aaron says whatever the big thing in Legacy is, you will find it in that book.
Yeah, I'm in. Then, we're going to read it. And I think that comes out in September, so we'll be reading the shit out of that. It's 50 pages instead of the 80 pages that DC gave us for Rebirth. But if it's big enough and it's self-contained enough, then you'll definitely see that episode on back issues.
Did you catch the thing in the promo art there, how like you see a bunch of like weird Wolverine-looking cavemen trying to lift Odin's hammer?
Oh, no, I did not. But that sounds consistent with Astonishing Spider-Man Wolverine with the small folk.
Oh, it's very purposeful. Jason Aaron is straight up.
Jason Aaron's writing it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. He's straight up referencing himself.
And it's exactly that. How will the orb factor in?
Oh, man. That's the dark secret hidden at the beginning of time.
I swear to God, if the orb shows up again, I will freak out.
I'm done.
I'm done. I will never read another Jason Aaron book again.
Now, there's a crossover, Orb versus Kite Man, in the weird pet project.
Yeah, in the Who Gives a Shit Olympics.
I don't know, man. I think the Orb could take Kite Man. I'm not going to lie.
Kite Man's got a more tragic backstory.
Does he really, though?
Yeah, no. Spectrum 5 has just mentioned Marvel Star Wars crossover. I seriously think we are maybe a year away from that. I think that
it's only a matter of time.
If Marvel, because like everybody talks about how like DC's crushing Marvel in sales, and like they're not, but Marvel is seeing like some issues with their sales, and it's not enough to like really for them to be that concerned, but they could be.
Yeah.
And if they did actually see a dip in sales, they could Watchmen the shit out of it and just being like, you know, like literally just steal the cut intro for Force Awakens, where it's like a lightsaber like just a severed hand and a lightsaber falls.
Oh God, yeah.
Like you could literally just open any book where it's
it writes itself.
It really Star Wars versus Marvel writes itself. And
you call it Avengers: Shadow of the Empire.
Yeah. I mean, like, the fact is, it's such a cool idea, even if it is a creatively bankrupt concept.
Even if it is Patton Oswalt doing a filibuster.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, we're comic book nerds. We all want to see stuff like that, even if we don't creatively think that's a good idea.
What would Spider-Man say to Luke Skywalker if given the chance?
I mean, the question is, does Star Wars exist in that Marvel crossover?
It has to.
Right?
It really has
Luke,
to.
Don't do it!
Characters have mentioned Star Wars before. It has to.
Yeah. So it's a question of like what kind of world we would be, like what kind of world they would do. You'd have to give it to somebody really, really talented, and I don't think they would.
Well, hey, Jason Aaron is going to be done writing his Star Wars run in a bit, and he's going to be taking a major thing on Legacy. So I'm sure if they would give the job to anyone, they would give it to him.
Oh, definitely. What was it? Somebody mentioned, Vader versus Doom. I want that so bad.
That's a thing. That's totally a thing.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Civil War 3 is Star Wars. No more Civil War.
We don't need no civil wars, as Axl Rose said.
Yeah, no more Civil War. I guess that would be the trick, is you don't throw Star Wars into the Marvel Universe, you throw the Marvel Universe into Star Wars. You know, like you have like a smattering of characters that all represent different corners of the Marvel Universe all in one place, and you know, and have them interact. I'm not. You know what? That's in a whole episode. It's just pitching Star Wars versus Marvel.
I can see it right now. The Guardians of the Galaxy go too far in the Milano and end up going to a galaxy far, far away.
Right? There you go. By the way, Getting Arthur the Lobster says, and I still think my comment on Civil War II was great. The clouds are turning people into humans, making the frogs not straight. Alex Jones, Marvel 16.
Yeah, if he existed in the comic universe, I'm sure he'd be one of those
He'd
guys.
have a huge problem with the Inhumans.
I bet.
But yeah, I do. Yeah, we'll have to do that. We'll have to literally just do like, okay, you pitch Star Wars versus Marvel, and I'll pitch Star Wars versus Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. We can both have different takes. In fact, I actually read a really good crossover just recently. Hack Slash versus Nailbiter.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That was really good because it was Seeley and it was Williamson both writing it, but they wrote the crossover in two different ways. Seeley's like, okay, I'll write this first half, and then you write basically the sequel story within the only issue, and then you tell it your way, and that way we actually get both of our voices in there. And I'm like, that's really smart.
It's cool. If it's well executed, maybe it's a tip for writers in the future.
They should. Nailbiter's great. I'm surprised Nailbiter hasn't been snapped up to become a TV show.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure most of these things are in development. It's just a question of like getting them like off the ground. Joey Veloso wants us to talk about HBO Watchmen. I think it's a waste of time, and I don't think it's worth doing.
You did Watchmen. It's done. Now they're saying HBO Watchmen, but they're also talking about maybe like doing a bunch of animated Watchmens too, like for the DC animated movies.
They're also saying that like maybe the like adaptation won't really be an adaptation. It'll be like set in the Watchmen universe and like do its own thing. And I'm like,
well, then in that case, don't bother.
They did that in Preacher, and I'm in the minority on this, but I think that they completely missed the mark. So
I can agree with you. Don't Preacher up Watchmen, please.
No. No.
Run the memes. Alex Jones is literally William Stryker, but in our universe, yeah.
Spectrum 5, Han Solo versus Bullseye. Who will shoot first? God damn.
Ooh, that's a match. That's a match right there.
What I mean? Like, you think it sucks and it's creatively bankrupt, but like I also kind of want to see that.
This shit writes itself. Let's book it for SummerSlam.
Right? Oh, man, that is literally that's the last event Marvel will do before it implodes.
and what killed this house of ideas?
Yeah, Star Wars. But yeah, Watchmen had its day, but it's still good, but it doesn't need remaking, like Ghostbusters. Yeah. Yeah. So, anything else on your mind?
Feels like there's shit. Man, the chat really had all the great questions at the beginning is the thing, and now I'm running on empty.
That's true.
Joel, how would you book SummerSlam? Somehow Roman Reigns will win. Yeah, you're right. Somehow he will.
Yeah.
Now, Sal, you don't watch wrestling, but Google this guy Roman Reigns and tell me he doesn't look like he could be Jason Momoa's brother.
I will. I was like, I don't want to do that.
I'm thinking of a bit like when I actually do review that Aquaman movie, I'm going to go out of my way to not call him Aquaman. It's going to be like, so in this new movie, we follow Namor and then Khal Drogo and then Roman Reigns. I just mentioned all these characters that he looks like but isn't.
Let's see here. Yeah, he does look like he looks like Jason Momoa's like loser brother.
I mean, they're both Samoans, so I mean, yeah, as the chat said, they're both Samoans.
Yeah.
They both love their intricate tattoos.
Sorry, I just got an email. I was like, what is this? Is this important? No. Okay. Would we ever talk about Noir comics? Yeah, I want to do Spider-Man Noir at some point. I just don't have it in trade yet. I have to pick it up.
It's a good
I have
one.
it in digital, which is when I read it, and I was like, oh, I should have bought this when it came out.
Now, here's a funny thing, Sal, again, because we got into the stupid topic of wrestling. One of Roman Reigns' finishing moves is called the Superman Punch, and the only reason they're legally allowed to call it that is because Warner Brothers and the WWE are in good together.
Oh, okay. That's fine. That's cool.
I just thought you would appreciate that, where it's like, wow, because of legal loopholes and chicanery, they're allowed to use the word Superman Punch.
Yeah. I almost feel like Superman should be a public domain character at this point.
Him and Mickey Mouse should, but as long as, the powers that be have their way, they never will.
Yeah. No. It's never going to happen.
Mm-mm.
Do you think that DC's new imprint will be successful? And if so, what do you think they'll do with it?
It's got a chance. Yeah, exactly. There's several new imprints. Are we talking Young Animal? Dark Universe? Wildstorm?
I don't think Dark Universe will succeed.
Don't you know?
No.
I'll tell you this, it has a better chance of surviving than the new Milestone imprint. Have you heard what happened with this?
Yes. By the way, this is why you'll never have Milestone. And it's like, people were talking, like, I mean, you remember you were like, when are they going to fix it? And I'm like, I bet there's some kind of McDuffie legal problem that DC doesn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. And lo and behold, it revealed itself in the form of his widow, who was like, you're denying me royalties. I'm going to stop this every step of the way. This is why DC does not do these things, because if anyone's alive from the estate of whatever project they're trying to do,
they will sue you into the ground.
Sue you into the ground, and or they will pay them off as much as they can, and they won't.
And to put it into perspective, the widow, McDuffie's widow, who is a creative in her own right, she helped develop the Ben 10 show with him when he was still alive. She's 100% in the right on this. She still owns 50% of all of his creative properties, and they only managed to get the other 50% from the other old co-owner of Milestone. Yeah. So yeah, legally they can't do it, and she figured it out when we all figured it out.
It's true.
So they straight up lied, cheated, and stole and hoped she wouldn't notice.
Precisely. So you won't see Milestone until she dies. Nobleman Nova says, what would you like to see in Daredevil Season 3? And before we answer that question, it's over 9,000 productions in the Super Chat. Says, no question, just love y'all. Thanks, man. We love you too.
Thanks, Vegeta.
But what do I want to see in Daredevil Season 3? The Devil in Cell Block D.
Oh, that's a good story. That's a real good story.
Just, I want to see that. Open the book, or open the show. The first episode is, at the end of the episode, Matt Murdock is outed in the Daily Globe. Like,
I was going to say, if we're going to go there, though, don't we need to have Murdoch papers first before we can have Devil in Cell Block D?
Yeah, but I think they could probably blend them.
I'm sure they will.
I mean, you can do Murdoch papers as, like, the first 4 episodes and then just go into... Like, I want Cell Block D to be, like, a big part of it. Because I want Frank to be like, okay, here we go.
I will say, I hope they continue the pacing from Daredevil Season 2, because, again, Daredevil Season 1 paced like a big, long movie. Jessica Jones paced like a regular TV show with, like, act breaks and beginning, middles, and ends. Yeah. I liked what Daredevil Season 2 did, because it paced its show like a comic. Here's the 4-episode Punisher arc. Here's the 4-episode trial arc. Here's the 4-episode end arc. And I'm like, good, yes, you should do it like arcs is what you should do.
Yeah, and I think it works. I think that, I mean, like, I don't think you should, like, adhere to one structure if you have multiple structures that work. But I think that, like, you could do worse. And it was working really great. A special person says Typhoid Mary. I have no doubt Typhoid Mary will appear in the new season.
I hope to see the owl in all his ridiculousness. I know we had one Leland Owlsley, but we know he has a son. I hope that guy becomes the owl, and I hope he's as crazy looking as he is in the comics.
I'm kind of sad that we lost Leland in that first season because he was great.
He was fun.
Yeah. So...
Oh, there's a good one from Thomas Carbone.
What's your favorite Spider-Man story? And what's my favorite Green Arrow story?
Yeah.
All right. I guess my favorite Green Arrow story is one of the few I've read, which is Quiver.
That's a good one.
I like Quiver a lot. You?
I quite enjoy Going Into the Light from the Judd Winnick run. That was like his big, like, you know, okay, I'm going to maybe end it because like 4 years later is happening and like my whole shit's getting shaken up. But if I was to put like an exclamation point on it, this would be it. He involves basically all the villains, all of the family members that we've seen so far. It was really well done. And I guess for Spider-Man, I mean, it's hard not to say Kraven's Last Hunt.
Yeah. You know what? Tiffany wouldn't, because she's like, this is silly. I would not call it my favorite. I think it's great, but I also don't want to... My favorite's like one I can pick up and read anytime, and I can't just always read Kraven's Last Hunt. Or
it's like, true. Ugh.
We have a bitchin' poster of Kraven's Last Hunt. Mike Zeck sent me the posters of the entire... Like, each issue has a... Each issue's cover is a poster. And so I only went with one of them, and it's obviously the gravestone one.
That's a good one. Did the stream just die for a sec? Okay, it came back.
Yeah. No, it shouldn't have died. It just it said it's resumed. I don't know what that means.
Freaked me out for a second.
Yeah. Who knows?
Joel, whatever happened to your Caped Crunchy cereal? I never got off the ground. Kellogg shot me down.
Aw. What was that, shirt?
No, but it should be now. That is a fucking shirt. Hey, for people who want shirts, I have a TeePublic store now, and me and Matt made a really awesome and human-themed one called Damn Moon People.
Yes.
I want to be wearing that at the next con you see me at. I'm going to be rocking Damn Moon People.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I guess since we're experiencing some interruptions, and it's obviously not the weather, and it's obviously not the connection to the internet, I guess it means that it's either the program I'm using, which is Open Broadcaster Studio, or it is the frame rate by which we are exporting the show. Who knows? But I'll have to work that out. But we're getting closer because we did not experience any service interruptions for the first good chunk of the show. So
That's good.
But yeah, it also could just be YouTube being shitty, which it has no apologies about and does quite frequently. So.
Yes, I have played The Wolf Among Us, Joey. Have you played it, Sal?
No. We downloaded the trial, and it was cool. But
it is cool.
I didn't. It's easy for me to fall off the wagon when it comes, or fall off of Telltale games.
Yeah. I haven't played Batman yet. I haven't played Borderlands yet, and I never finished Game of Thrones, but I hope to finish all of them soon.
What about Guardians of the Galaxy?
Again, is that done yet? Is that collected yet?
I don't know. I don't know. I've stopped playing. I never started playing Guardians. I have no idea.
I mean, I will down the line because they're always really reasonably priced and nice when they're all packaged together and done. I also never played the newest season of Walking Dead yet, even though I prefer that over the TV show and comics now.
Yeah, that was great.
It's the best universe.
It is, easily. By the way, Getting Arthur the Lobster says the Dark Tower for back issues for the movie. Yeah, maybe.
Have you seen the reviews of the Dark Tower?
I saw the trailer and it looks real bad.
The reviews say it's real bad.
That sucks. That sounds about right. It looks really cheap and stupid. It looks like a movie made in 1999.
Everyone says they do that Journey to the West thing where it's like, man, we have two really awesome characters in Idris Elba and McConaughey. Let's focus on this ride-along POV kid.
Yeah, that was a good idea when it came to Hellboy, making it about Myers. What a cool character. What a rich history. So great that in Hellboy 2, they just threw him away.
And they shit on him every chance they get, which is why I love Hellboy 2.
I think that Hellboy 2 is self-indulgent. I think it's like, don't give Guillermo del Toro too many...
incredibly self-indulgent. There's no doubt about that, but I love it for its self-indulgence. Like, Hellboy 1 left no impact on me. Hellboy 2 is like, oh, you're all having fun.
Right. Conrad says, what about It? Oh, those trailers are all phenomenal. I am shocked by how much I want to see It. I loved the book. I enjoyed the series, the movie, I guess. And I can't wait for this. I think the first movie is just going to be the first half, where it's just the kids.
Interesting.
And that's so smart.
It's funny they got the kid from Stranger Things in there, considering how Stranger Things is so heavily inspired by It and the other works of Stephen King.
Yeah, but they only got the one, which I'm like, thank you.
Which, hilariously, if you've seen all those other kids, they've been like doing the con circuit and doing the talk show circuit. And they're always like a match set, like you get all of them together, but not the main kid because he was too busy doing it.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, X-Men Orange's Tangerine says, always loved the show. A Thursday episode was a nice surprise. How's the Justice League movie looking to you guys? Good, bad, couldn't care? I gotta tell you, man, like the new trailer looks really good. I'm excited for it. I want to like a Justice League movie, and I think that with Wonder Woman being successful, with Joss Whedon and his involvement,
adding cleanup,
maybe it'll be better. I hope. I want it to be good. I want to like it.
I will say to Tangerines what I said to Jason Inman when we had him on a couple episodes ago on the weekly poll. Do we even know if what we've seen in this trailer is representative of what the movie will be when it's done, considering that they've done so many reshoots now? The final product might not even be the same.
It's true. I have no idea. I'm excited, though. I can't wait to see it.
We're all going to see it. I mean, a Justice League movie only comes around once, and to think it took this many years, it took to 2017 to get one.
Let's wrap this up with one more question from Peyton Lowry, who says, but what about Spawn?
What about him?
Spawn's getting a whole movie from Blumhouse Pictures. Maybe.
Possibly. It's not the first time it's fallen through.
Yeah. I don't think that's a guarantee. I think that it might happen, I'll see it opening day, but I'm not interested in a Spawn movie that isn't about Spawn. So, yeah. But, yeah, that said, hey, what's happening on Joel's channel that we didn't talk about before?
Well, what's happening on Joel? Well, my shirt,
Joel?
basically.
Shirt? Facial hair? Who knows?
Yeah, all sorts of stuff, weird bushy eyebrows.
Yeah.
I mean, if you head on over to my channel, I covered the new Batman book. I also covered Marvel Generations #1, which I'll be talking about with Tiffany later on when we do the poll.
Yes, by the way, go over to the Weekly Poll channel. You can see another live show with this guy and Tiffany. They're going to talk about this week's comics. It's going to be a lot of fun. Watch the poll; it's a great show. And as the poll develops and grows and evolves, you might see a couple of versions of that show in the future that might be over here. We'll see.
Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah. But anyway, was that all you were going to say about that?
I also got a new podcast up where basically, again, me and Matt just talk about stuff. We talked a fair amount of Rick and Morty and Szechuan sauce and how amazing it was that like Royland and Harmon actually got a bottle sent to them.
Yeah, especially in their like weird like case for Dimension 1997 or 98 or whatever.
98, yeah. Which like, man, McDonald's, you really put the work in, don't you?
They really did. I kind of like it. It's really nice.
Apparently they do that across the board to everyone. Like if you do a good job and use your fame to help promote their product in a positive way, they will straight up give you shit.
That's kind of cool.
And like put work in. Like what is it again? To bring it back to wrestling for a stupid second here. What is it? One guy talked about how much he loved their food, and he's like a big, jacked, like really healthy looking guy. So they sent him a McDonald's belt that they custom made and sent it to him.
Gotcha. That's cool.
So, what we really need to do on the Elseworlds Exchange is talk about how great McDonald's is. I mean, come on. I mean, McChickens, come on.
I will not do that. So, over here on ComicPOP.
What is your fast food of choice now that we brought this up?
Good question. Oh, what is my
That's an episode. Food? Dude, put a needle in that. Let's do a fast food episode.
Yeah, what's my favorite fast food place? I don't know. But, yeah, somebody asked in the chat. This is not necessarily a question, so I'll address it. But yes, we are going to be at New York Comic Con. Come to New York Comic Con and meet us. We're going to be there. It's going to be great.
See, it's going right now.
I'm thinking about making the green screen a little bigger. By the way, this is there's a green screen there. But,
I didn't even know it was a green screen until you pointed it out to me right now. I just thought that was a weird piece of art.
Yeah, no, it's that's how I recreate the TV effect that we had in the old show, which was literally just a 70-inch TV that I own.
Nice.
That I'm not bringing here because I'm watching TV on it. But yeah, so I want to thank you all for hanging out with us, and thanks for letting us like kind of make this little apology video for the Elseworlds Exchange not really working out last week, or this week rather. But yeah, no, the new set's not in my house. No, it's a studio. I got windows and everything.
I can finally take my work away from home.
Yeah, and it's great because now like we can have sets that have like all the things we get from like letters page. Like you can see where we got it, or like that we got it and where it is, and it's gonna be great. So
and you can leave your rigs up and everything. You don't gotta keep tearing them down.
That's the best part. The thing about it is, it takes 10 minutes to set up everything, but it takes 5 minutes to drive here. So I've already increased productivity by 50%.
There you go.
But yeah, so let us know. Show the poll some love and support by swinging over there in about an hour. So hang out with Tiffany and Joel. It's going to be a great show. But yeah, thanks a lot for hanging out with us, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Elseworlds Exchange. This will go up on the podcast in the next couple days because the last episode that came out this week also went up. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that like that's coming up. So it's not a mistake. It's just another show. Anything else you want to say?
No, you basically hit it all. I'm glad we got to do this again.
Cool. Yeah, me too. Did you know I wanted to do this? Because I reached out to Joel. I got everything I needed. I brought it down to the studio, and then I called him up, and I'm like, you got a minute? And he's like, let me get my mic.
I said, do I need my mic? Because I didn't know if this is like, hey, you got a minute? I need to tell you something important. Right. I didn't know what it could possibly be, but I'm like, I'm up for anything, so all right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad it worked out.
Same.
But, yeah. All right, folks. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Sal.
I'm Joel.
Keep watching and reading and listening and stuff. We have no good sign-off.
We got to work on that. Let's workshop that.
Yeah, we'll have to workshop that.
Elseworld out.